Chapter 1. When I turned 21, my adoptive parents called their 3 biological daughters before me and told me to choose one to be my wife. This time I chose their adopted daughter without hesitation. Everyone was shocked by my choice, because it was common knowledge that I was in love with the second daughter, Summer Crawley. In my previous life, I got my wish and married Summer. Because of this, she inherited the entire Crawley family fortune. But after our wedding, she started an affair with the gardener's son, Ethan Green. When my adoptive parents, Reginald and Eleanor Crawley, found out, they angrily dismissed the gardener and his family. Summer, however, thought I had driven a wedge between them and hated me enough to want to grind my bones to dust. From then on, her bond with the gardener's son grew stronger than ever, inseparable. Later, she went so far as to conspire with her 2 sisters to imprison me in the basement and starve me to death. Reborn into this life, I decided to grant them their wish, but unexpectedly, the 3 sisters were reborn too. I had just stepped out of my adoptive father's study when I turned and saw the 3 Crawley sisters, Autumn, Summer, and Crystal. When they saw me, their almond-shaped eyes couldn't hide their disdain. The eldest daughter, Autumn Crawley, spoke first. "Sincere Ashworth, you're nothing but an adopted son in our Crawley family. Why are you always running to Dad's study, chasing after a woman? You really have no self-respect." Acting like a lapdog, the youngest sister, Crystal Crawley, heard this and gave a mocking smile, rolling her eyes petulantly. "Big sis, if you talk to Brother Sincere like that, what if he gets upset again?" Summer Crawley looked at me, her eyes full of impatience. "Sincere Ashworth, what were you doing seeing Dad again? Were you complaining about us? You're a grown man, doing nothing productive all day. As for wanting me to marry you, I still need to think carefully about it. You shouldn't come to our house during this time. It saves me the annoyance of seeing you." Her tone was filled with impatience and contempt, as was the look in her eyes. She had never loved me. Ignoring the 3 of them, I replied indifferently, "I went to see Mr. Crawley. What's it to you? I came over today to discuss my birthday plans with him." The 3 Crawley sisters stared at me, their eyes wide with disbelief. Mr. Crawley was usually very busy and wouldn't normally handle arrangements for a birthday party himself. The reason he was personally involved this time was because he planned to announce something at my birthday banquet. He had once said that when I turned 21, I would choose one of the 3 Crawley daughters to be my wife. My wife would inherit the entire Crawley family fortune and become the next head of Crawley Enterprises. The expressions on the 3 sisters standing before me varied. Autumn and Crystal looked at Summer with complicated emotions in their eyes. "Congratulations, second sister. You'll soon be the new head of the Crawley family. Second sis, don't forget our sisterly bond when the time comes." Summer looked at me haughtily, sneering, "Sincere Ashworth, you've been in love with me for so many years. You're finally getting your wish. You must be very happy right now, aren't you?" She took a step closer, her tone turning cold. "But let's get things straight. Marriage is about mutual benefit. After we're married, we won't interfere in each other's lives. You can't control my freedom. Only under these conditions will I agree to marry you." My brow furrowed tightly. How could Summer state something so outrageous so matter-of-factly? I looked at her suspiciously, memories of my past life surfacing involuntarily. Could she be reborn too? Just then, a gentle voice came from behind, sincere. It was the gardener's son, Ethan Green, dressed in casual clothes, walking towards us with a bright smile. Upon seeing him, Summer smiled and walked over to him. "Ethan, you're still not well. Why aren't you resting in your room?" Ethan's eyes were red-rimmed, his voice hoarse. "My mom asked me to come see Sincere, worried he might be hungry." Hearing this, Summer shot me an annoyed glare. "How old are you? Can't you get food yourself if you're hungry? Why do you need someone to remind you? Didn't you see Ethan is sick?" After saying this, she took Ethan's arm to leave, but after a couple of steps, she paused, turned back and warned me. "Sincere Ashworth, if you bully Ethan again, I absolutely will not marry you." I gave a mocking smile. "Sorry, But in this life, the one who doesn't want to marry you is me. Chapter 2. I don't want to marry you anymore either. As the words left my mouth, the 4 people standing before me froze. They stared at me, their eyes filled with disbelief. Summer Crawley frowned, her gaze impatient. Sincere Ashworth, Ethan is sick and needs rest. This isn't the time for you to be saying things out of spite. I'm serious. I've met someone I like, so I won't be choosing my wife from among you. Hearing this, the 3 sisters, Autumn, Summer, and Crystal, exchanged glances. When Summer snapped back to reality, the little patience she had left for me vanished instantly, her brows knitting even tighter. Just because Ethan is sick, and we've all been focused on taking care of him lately, you say such nonsense just to provoke us? Autumn Crawley hid the surprise in her eyes, her voice still cool when she spoke again. Sincere Ashworth, you grew up pampered in the Crawley household. Ethan has suffered so much. Why must you compare yourself to him? Brother Sincere, one of my sisters, or I will definitely marry you. You don't need to say these things to upset us. Crystal Crawley's eyes reddened slightly, a hint of worry in her gaze. Remembering what happened in my past life, my hands by my sides clenched unconsciously. I'm not trying to spite you. If you don't believe me, there's nothing I can do. Hearing this, the 3 sisters turned and looked at each other, clear suspicion in their eyes. They unanimously decided this was just a tactic of mine, meant to attract their attention. Autumn looked at me impatiently. Sincere Ashworth, playing hard to get won't work on us. I'm telling the truth. Right, everything you say is the truth, okay? Summer chimed in impatiently, saying you have someone you like. I'd like to see if this person you like dares to show up at your birthday banquet in half a month. Autumn gave a scornful laugh. Just as she was about to speak, Ethan Green, who had been standing aside, ignored, pretended to feel dizzy and pressed a hand to his forehead. My head feels dizzy again. Hearing this, the 3 sisters' expressions changed instantly. Gone was the impatient demeanor they showed me. Now they were fussing over Ethan. Ethan, are you okay? You should rest properly if you're sick. You're making us worry. Let's go. We'll take you back. Better than staying here and getting upset seeing certain people. After exchanging these words, the 3 sisters immediately surrounded Ethan and led him away from the study door. Even when they were several steps away, I could still hear Ethan's feigned concern. Is it really okay to leave Sincere here all alone? Summer's irritated voice followed immediately. He's a grown man, it's fine. Watching them leave, the fingers by my side trembled slightly, a bitter smile touching my lips. I was the one who grew up with them, yet how did we reach this point? My parents had saved Grandfather Crawley's life. After my parents died in an accidental car crash, the Crawley family took me in and raised me. Later, when I came of age and showed remarkable intelligence, Grandfather Crawley established an unwritten rule. Whoever married me would inherit the Crawley family fortune. Now, the eldest Miss Crawley, Autumn, had become a successful businesswoman with her own company. The second Miss Crawley, Summer, was a renowned painter, and the third Miss Crawley, Crystal, was a famous movie star. The 3 had different personalities and preferences, yet they were all determined to marry me for the sake of the Crawley inheritance. Chapter 3. Reginald and Eleanor Crawley couldn't defy the old man's wishes, so they had agreed. They decided that on my 21st birthday, I would choose one of the 3 Crawley daughters, get married, and inherit the entire family fortune. But having lived once before, I had no intention of choosing among Autumn, Summer, and Crystal this time. After I came of age, they had all fallen for the Crawley family gardener's son, Ethan Green. As soon as Ethan moved into the Crawley residence, he started scheming, finding ways to coincidentally encounter the 3 sisters every day, always putting on an innocent and harmless facade for them. I initially thought they would see through him, but unfortunately, all 3 fell for his act completely. The 3 who once vied to marry me now only had eyes for Ethan. Snapping back to the present, I habitually walked towards my room, only to see the 3 tall Crawley sisters standing inside, gathered around the bed, fussing over Ethan. Ethan, how are you feeling now? Ethan, would you like some water? Ethan, maybe you should take a nap. A sarcastic smile tugged at my lips, my hands clenching unconsciously at my sides. I almost forgot this room wasn't mine anymore. This room had originally been mine alone, decorated and designed according to my preferences. But one day, Summer had approached me saying Ethan needed a quiet place to rest. And so my room became Ethan's room. Actually, from that moment on, I knew I was no longer important in their hearts. But in my past life, I refused to face this reality, stubbornly banging my head against a wall until I met a miserable end in the basement. The next morning, I was woken by the sound of celebratory fireworks downstairs. Frowning in confusion, I wondered, what day is it today? Filled with doubt, I went downstairs to check and saw the living room piled high with numerous gifts, each box bearing a numbered tag. In the center of the living room stood Ethan Green, surrounded by the 3 Crawley sisters. Autumn Crawley smiled, pointing to the first row of gifts, and said gently, "Ethan, this row of gifts is from me, for you from age 1 to 8. I hope no matter how old you are, you can be as happy as you were in childhood." As soon as she finished, Summer Crawley's voice followed Ethan. "The second row of gifts is from me, for you from age 9 to 16. Inside there's a lucky charm I specially requested from the Anguo Temple, hoping you'll be safe and healthy all your life." Crystal Crawley pointed to another row of gifts with a sweet smile, saying delicately, "Ethan, the third row is from me, for you from age 17 to 21. The last gift is my latest Best Actress Award medal. I hope that throughout your life, like me, all your wishes come true, and everything you gain brings you joy." Standing among them, Ethan looked at all the gifts laid out before him, his eyes reddening as 2 lines of tears instantly streamed down his face. It's just an ordinary birthday. Why did you prepare so many gifts for me?" I don't even know what to say." After saying this with a smile, he turned his head and saw me standing not far away. A mischievous glint flashed in his eyes as he said with a smile, "Sincere, don't be too envious of me. When your birthday comes around soon, I believe you'll also receive gifts that make you happy." Hearing this, a pang shot through my heart, my hands tightening unconsciously at my sides. In my previous life, on my birthday, the 3 sisters gave me nothing. Their excuse was that they were too busy and didn't have time to prepare anything. Just then, Autumn Crawley walked over to me and somewhat unnaturally handed me a gold credit card. "Sincere, my company has been quite busy lately, so I might not have time to prepare a gift for you. Why don't you take this card and buy something you like?" As soon as she finished, Summer Crawley also took a step forward, a hint of apology in her eyes as she looked at me. "Around your birthday, I'll be busy preparing for my art exhibition. Why don't you pick out your gift from me yourself, too?" Chapter 4. Crystal Crawley glanced at her 2 older sisters, her gaze finally settling on me. "Brother Sincere, your gift, I'll prepare it thoughtfully. But I'll be joining a film crew then, so I might not have much time. Please don't blame me for not putting in enough effort." I shifted my gaze away from the black card in Autumn's hand and looked at them impassively. "I don't need gifts from you. There's no need to go through the trouble." Hearing this, the 3 Crawley sisters' eyes widened in shock. What was going on? Sincere Ashworth actually refused their gifts? If something like this had happened before, he would definitely have thrown a tantrum. But unexpectedly, he accepted it so calmly, leaving them momentarily at a loss. The next second, the 3 exchanged glances, remembering what he said yesterday about having someone he liked, and instantly understood he was still sulking. Summer frowned, looking at me impatiently. "You're the one who said you don't want it, not that we didn't offer. Don't go complaining to Mom and Dad later." As she said this, she, along with Autumn and Crystal, carefully observed my reaction, but my expression remained unchanged. I continued to look at them blankly, stating indifferently, "I won't." That evening, my adoptive parents, Reginald and Eleanor Crawley, the biological parents of the 3 sisters, happened to return from their trip abroad. As the family sat down for dinner together, Ethan Green was about to excuse himself when Summer grabbed his arm. "Ethan, you're not an outsider. Sit down and eat with us." Ethan looked hesitantly at the others, opening his mouth to refuse, but Autumn's voice cut in first. "Summer's right. You should sit down and eat with us, too." Reginald and Eleanor, seated at the head of the table, saw this, and their faces instantly darkened, disapproval flickering in their eyes, but ultimately, they said nothing. Eleanor looked at me gently, asking with affection, "Sincere, your birthday is coming up soon. I've almost finished looking at wedding venues. Have you decided who you want to choose as your wife?" As soon as she spoke, the three sisters' expressions changed instantly, all turning their heads to look at me. After a few seconds of silence in the dining room, Crystal spoke up with a smile to ease the tension. "Mom, there's still some time before Brother Sincere's birthday banquet. Let him think about it a bit more." Hearing this, Eleanor turned her gaze towards Crystal. "Sincere's birthday is almost here. Have you prepared his gift yet?" He said he doesn't need me to give him a gift, so I wasn't planning on preparing one." As Crystal finished speaking, Eleanor's frown deepened. She turned her head towards Autumn. "And you?" "I gave him a black card. He didn't want it himself." Autumn said this matter-of-factly, feeling no sense of wrongdoing whatsoever. Summer, sitting beside her, looked up at Eleanor and volunteered, "I have an art exhibition to prepare for around that time, so I won't have time to pick a gift for him. He said he doesn't need one, which saves us all the trouble." The words from the three of them grew increasingly outrageous, stoking the anger in Reginald and Eleanor's hearts. Just as they were about to lose their tempers, I smiled and took out a picture of a wedding ring, showing it to them. "Mr. Crawley, Mrs. Crawley, I already have someone I like. I plan to propose to her with this ring. What do you think?" After I finished speaking, the atmosphere in the dining room instantly froze. Everyone at the table stared at me, their eyes filled with shock and disbelief. After Reginald and Eleanor composed themselves, suppressing their shock, they asked in astonishment, "Sincere, you mean you don't like any of the three sisters?" Just as I was about to answer yes, Summer slammed her chopsticks down, glared at me sullenly, and snapped. "Will you ever stop? It's one thing to throw tantrums with us usually, but now you're spouting such nonsense in front of Mom and Dad." The smile on Autumn's lips also vanished completely as she stared coldly at me. "Playing hard to get might work on us sometimes, but doing it in front of Mom and Dad too? Is there any point?" Crystal also angrily put down her chopsticks, her tone sharp. "Brother Sincere, you've said twice now that you have someone you like, but that's simply impossible. You even specially ordered a custom diamond necklace just to give to—" As she spoke, both Autumn's and Summer's faces changed. They stared nervously at Crystal. "Give to whom?" Chapter 5. "How should I know?" Crystal replied irritably, her hand by her side tightening unconsciously. Of course, she knew who the custom diamond necklace was for, but she wouldn't say it out loud. In her past life, she ended up with nothing precisely because she was foolish. In this life, she wouldn't continue being foolish. Eleanor's puzzled voice broke the tense atmosphere in the dining room. "Crystal, how did you know Sincere ordered a custom diamond necklace?" I saw it accidentally." Crystal lowered her eyes, answering unnaturally. Sitting opposite her, I gave a self-deprecating smile. What she said about the custom diamond necklace was true. I had originally ordered a special diamond necklace, intending to give it to Summer Crawley when I proposed. But having lived this life again, those things were no longer necessary. Some walls only needed to be hit once. The next second, Ethan Green, sitting beside me, suddenly gasped. His surprised voice cut through the dining room, interrupting my thoughts. "Mr. Ashworth, this diamond necklace looks a lot like those marketing images online recently." He didn't finish his sentence, but everyone else understood what he meant. My hand holding the chopsticks tightened slightly. Just as I was about to speak, the housekeeper, Agnes Miller, who was serving us, suddenly trembled, and a whole plate of green vegetables spilled out. Ethan Summer, sitting next to Ethan, pulled him closer to her, afraid he would get scalded. The entire plate of freshly stir-fried vegetables landed on me. The searing pain made me involuntarily suck in a sharp breath, my eyes stinging, almost bringing physiological tears. Autumn and Crystal, sitting nearby, didn't see my pain. Their eyes were only on Ethan. "Ethan, did you get burned? Ethan, are you okay?" As Ethan looked up, his eyes met Agnes Miller's. A strange look flickered between them. Seeing this, my brow furrowed tightly, and I asked in a low voice, "Auntie Agnes, did you intentionally spill the vegetables on me?" Hearing this, Agnes Miller's eyes instantly reddened. "Mr. Ashworth, how could I possibly spill the vegetables on you intentionally? I know it was my fault for not holding the plate steady just now, but you can't label me as such a black-hearted person seeing his aunt suffer." Ethan quickly stood up to speak for her, shielding Agnes Miller behind him. "Mr. Ashworth, Auntie Agnes is just an employee. There's no need for you to make things difficult for her. You may be rich, yes, but you can't insult people like this if you really can't stand us poor country folk. Then Auntie Agnes and I will just leave." After saying this, he turned and supported Agnes Miller as they walked out. Summer saw this, her brow tightening, her almond eyes filled with displeasure as she looked at me. "Sincere Ashworth, Auntie Agnes has worked as a housekeeper in this house for so many years. Today she accidentally spilled some vegetables, and you accuse her of doing it on purpose? Do you even have a heart?" Autumn turned her head, looking at me with disappointment. "Someone with a dirty mind sees dirt everywhere. Brother Sincere, Auntie Agnes really isn't the kind of person you say she is. Why did you have to speak like that? Now Auntie Agnes has left in anger because of you. Are you happy now?" Crystal glared at me furiously, her words filled with accusation. My hands clenched into fists at my sides, a mix of emotions churning within me, only making the burn feel even more painful. Before I could speak, the three sisters had already gotten up and chased after Ethan in the direction he left. I endured the pain and stood up, wanting to go to the hospital. But as soon as I stood, darkness swam before my eyes, and then I lost consciousness. Sincere, Reginald, and Eleanor rushed towards me anxiously. While helping me up, they turned and told the servant to call an ambulance immediately. When I woke up, the first thing I saw was the white ceiling. Reginald and Eleanor were sitting by my hospital bed looking at me worriedly. "Sincere, how are you feeling now? Does it still hurt?" Chapter 6. I shook my head slightly, forcing a smile. "Mrs. Crawley, I'm fine. You don't need to worry about me." Mrs. Crawley's eyes reddened, and she held my hand sympathetically. "The doctor said you fainted partly because of your irregular diet recently, causing your stomach problems to flare up again. Why have you started neglecting your meals again?" I've been a bit busy lately, so my eating schedule has been a little off." After saying this, I lowered my eyelids, unsure how to explain. This stomach flare-up was actually because I had previously focused too much of my attention on the three Crawley sisters, leading me to skip meals, but talking about that now was pointless. Eleanor sighed helplessly, tightening her grip on my hand slightly, and said guiltily, "Sincere, after you fainted, the more we thought about it, the stranger it seemed. We checked the surveillance footage from dinner. Agnes Miller did indeed intentionally spill that plate of vegetables on you. I suspected she and Ethan were calculating, but I never imagined they were this malicious. Don't be upset. I will definitely make Autumn, Summer, and Crystal apologize to you, and I'll make them see Ethan's true colors before I could respond." Reginald's gentle voice filled the room. "Sincere, Uncle knows that what Autumn, Summer, and Crystal did was too much, but you can't just say you have someone you like solely to spite them." I paused for a moment, then gently shook my head. "Mr. Crawley, I wasn't speaking out of spite. I really do have someone I like." After saying this, I turned my head and happened to see my backpack on the bedside table. I mustered my strength, grabbed the backpack, took out a bank card from inside and placed it in Eleanor's hand. "Mrs. Crawley, I've earned quite a bit of money over the past few years. Take this money, consider it repayment for my living expenses at the Crawley house all these years. Also, I truly do have someone I like. And it's not any of the three sisters, Autumn, Summer, or Crystal. I'm really not joking with you. Reginald paused, stunned, then couldn't help asking again, sincere, Who do you like? Mr. Crawley, I'll tell you when the time is right. I replied with a smile, unable to stop the image of that elegant figure from appearing in my mind. Reginald and Eleanor, sitting by the bed, exchanged a look. Reginald sighed helplessly. It seems Autumn, Summer, and Crystal aren't fated to be your wife. Eleanor pushed the bank card back into my hand. Sincere, we truly see you as our own child. Take this money back. It'll be more convenient if you need it for anything. I smiled and pushed the bank card back to her, reassuring her. Mr. Crawley, Mrs. Crawley, please accept this money. Don't worry about me not having funds. I still have the inheritance my parents left me. I've lived with the Crawley family for so many years, I've long considered you my parents. Don't treat me like a stranger. I'll need your help arranging my wedding in the future. Reginald and Eleanor nodded helplessly, finally accepting the bank card I gave them. For the next 2 days I stayed in the hospital. Autumn, Summer, and Crystal never came to visit me. Reginald and Eleanor learned from the Crawley household staff that the sisters had been constantly appeasing Ethan. They were furious and declared they would drag them over to take care of me. Sincere, we're going back right now to drag Autumn, Summer, and Crystal here to look after you. You're their brother, after all. Not visiting you in the hospital even once. What kind of behavior is that, Chapter 7? Mr. Crawley, Mrs. Crawley, there's no need. Having you two with me is enough. I quickly stopped them. Seeing this, they sighed helplessly and didn't pursue it further. When I was discharged from the hospital and returned home, I received a message from Victoria Crawley. Brother Sincere, your birthday is coming up soon. I personally designed a suit and sent it to you as a birthday gift. It should have arrived home by now. Remember to check for it. Victoria Crawley was the Crawley family's adopted daughter. She had been frail and sickly since childhood and was currently receiving treatment in the capital city. In this life, she was the one I wanted to marry. Seeing this message, the image of her cool demeanor involuntarily surfaced in my mind, and my ears grew slightly warm. Snapping back to reality, I immediately sent Victoria a message. Victoria, how is your recovery going? Will you be able to come back for my birthday banquet? Mr. Carson, the butler, was highly efficient. By the time Ethan Green returned, he found he could no longer enter the Crawley residence. Upon learning this, the 3 Crawley sisters immediately stormed towards my room, angrily pushing open my door. Sincere, Ashworth, are you really that petty? You just got scalded a little. Was it necessary to go this far? Ethan has been kicked out of the Crawley house now. Are you happy? Brother Sincere, that incident wasn't their fault at all. Why did you have to do this? My face darkened as I stared at them. Get out. Hearing this, Summer's brows knitted even tighter. Sincere, Ashworth, go apologize to Ethan right now. Me apologize? What did I have to apologize for? I was the one who got burned, yet the 3 Crawley sisters expected me to apologize? Autumn stared at me, displeased. Yes, you go apologize to Ethan with us immediately. My hands clenched tightly at my sides. Unable to suppress the anger boiling inside me any longer, I retorted furiously, Enough, will you ever stop? It clearly wasn't my fault, so why on earth should I apologize? My birthday banquet is just a few days away. After the banquet, I'll get married and leave the Crawley family for good. I won't have anything to do with you anymore. Now, all of you, get out. After spitting out these angry words, I pushed Autumn, Summer, and Crystal out of my room and slammed the door shut. Bang, the moment the door closed, the whole world seemed to fall silent. Just when I thought they had left, Summer's cold and disdainful voice sounded from outside the door. Sincere, Ashworth, stop acting. We don't believe for a second that you'd fall for someone else. A sarcastic smile touched my lips, my gaze towards the door turning icy cold. Whether you 3 believe it or not, in this life I will never marry any of you again. Just as they were about to speak again, Ethan Green suddenly called. Autumn, Summer, Crystal, I'm heading back first. The 3 sisters exchanged glances and turned to leave. For the next 3 days, Autumn, Summer, and Crystal did not return. The messages Ethan Green sent me didn't stop either. He sent me many photos. In them, Summer was tidying up Ethan's room, Autumn was carrying dishes out from the kitchen, and Crystal was arranging flowers nearby with a sweet smile. Mr. Ashworth, I just accidentally cut my hand while chopping vegetables, but they showed me such great care. I'm really touched. I glanced at his message and ignored it. Right now, I was busy gathering all the things related to the 3 Crawley sisters from over the years. There was a lot: stuffed animals, toy cars, transforming robots they gave me when I was little, and suits, ties, and cufflinks they gave me after I came of age. And that unsent love letter. I gathered all these items and placed them in a basin to burn. The fire burned brightly, and all the past events vanished along with the consuming flames. When Autumn, Summer, and Crystal returned, they happened to witness this scene, and their expressions changed instantly. "Sincere Ashworth, what are you doing now?" After Summer shouted this frantically, she immediately turned to find water, wanting to extinguish the blazing fire. Autumn and Crystal, after recovering from the shock, also wanted to find something to put out the fire. But it was too late. I watched the fire burn, watched those items diminish more and more. When the fire was finally put out, only a basin of ashes and some debris remained. Summer stared at me unhappily, her tone gloomy. "Sincere Ashworth, why did you burn all these things?" I was afraid the person I like might see these things and misunderstand. After stating this indifferently, I turned towards the kitchen, wanting to pour myself a glass of water. But Autumn blocked my path. Summer looked at me, a hint of panic in her eyes, but remembering the previous events, she felt Sincere Ashworth must be lying. "Sincere Ashworth, your birthday banquet is just 2 days away. Are you still saying these things out of spite? Is there any point?" I looked at them impassively and spoke indifferently. "Whether it's out of spite or not, you'll find out on the day of the birthday banquet." Time passed quickly, and in the blink of an eye, it was the day of my birthday banquet. That afternoon, after most of the guests had arrived, Summer finally showed up, fashionably late, with Ethan Green. Summer's lips were swollen and red, and there were poorly concealed red marks on her neck. Combined with their arrival together, it was immediately obvious to everyone what they had been doing just moments before. If this were the past, seeing this scene, I would have long since angrily confronted Summer, demanding why she would do such a thing. But now I merely glanced at them indifferently before turning away to chat with other guests. Summer saw my gaze linger on Ethan for a moment, then immediately pulled him protectively behind her. She was prepared for me to get angry, to question her, but she didn't expect me to say nothing at all. After a moment of silence, she pulled Ethan over and stood before me. "Sincere Ashworth, you're probably just pretending to be indifferent because you're afraid I won't marry you, right?" Chapter 8. But that makes sense. After all, I told you before, I can marry you, but we have to do our own things after marriage. Seeing as you're being somewhat sensible today, take this as your birthday gift. With that, she took a small gift box out of her bag and handed it to me. The next second, Ethan reached out, took the gift box, and opened it. Wow, these cufflinks are so exquisite. They look like a high-end brand that's hard to get. Hearing Ethan liked them, Summer's eyes darted, and she said indulgently, "Ethan, since you like them, these cufflinks are yours." "Huh?" Ethan looked astonished at the woman beside him. "Summer, this is your gift for Sincere. I can't take it." As he said this, his eyes looking at me were full of provocation. Summer curled her lip, saying nonchalantly, "There's nothing you can't accept. After giving these cufflinks to you, I can just buy him something else randomly. Anyway, as long as it's something I buy, he thinks it's the best." As Summer said this, the guests attending my birthday banquet couldn't help but chuckle softly. My hand by my side tightened unconsciously, suddenly remembering events from before my rebirth. In the past, I treasured every gift Summer casually gave me, no matter what it was. But now, the things she gave only disgusted me. Snapping back to reality, I was about to walk away when Summer blocked my path again. "What? You're unhappy just because I said a few words?" Summer looked at me with utter disdain. "Sincere Ashworth, just behave a little better. and when you announce you choose me as your wife later, I'll consider whether or not to marry you." I looked at her impassively. "Who said I would choose you?" As my words fell, the originally lively scene instantly plunged into dead silence. The next second, the guests present exchanged glances and burst into loud laughter. "Who else could you choose besides me? You've liked me for so many years. Would you be willing to marry someone else?" Summer's words were sharp. Hearing this, the guests' gazes all fell on me, waiting for my answer. Just then, the Crawley family's youngest adopted daughter, Victoria Crawley, looking frail, suddenly walked into the banquet hall. After glancing at the three Crawley sisters, the guests' gazes towards Victoria became meaningful. When Victoria met my eyes, her heart skipped a beat unconsciously. But as she expected, I didn't speak to her. Disappointed, she turned and left. I let Summer smile smugly at my birthday banquet and turned away silently. In my previous life, after our wedding, she got involved with Ethan Green. When Reginald and Eleanor found out, they angrily dismissed Ethan and his father. Summer thought I had sown discord and hated me enough to want me utterly destroyed. Crystal, to get revenge on me, staged a self-victimizing drama, accusing me of harassing her, ruining my reputation. And Autumn, she had people kidnap me and take me to a hospital to use me for human experiments. When I escaped from the hospital half dead and returned, Summer, wanting to secure the Crawley inheritance completely, conspired with Ethan to stage an accident that left me unconscious. When I woke up, I found myself imprisoned in the basement by Summer, eventually starving to death. Not long after, Reginald and Eleanor arrived. Reginald walked into the banquet hall, scanned the arrived guests, and slowly walked onto the prepared stage. "Today is Sincere's 21st birthday, and I have a major announcement to make here. According to the agreement between myself and our family's old master, on the day Sincere turns 21, he must choose one of the Crawley daughters to marry, inherit the entire Crawley family fortune, and become the next head of Crawley Enterprises." The Crawley family had been in business for many years, involved in multiple industries, with assets exceeding tens of billions of USD. Hearing this, the surrounding guests showed envious expressions. Reginald continued, "Now, let's invite the two parties involved onto the stage, and I will bear witness for them." Hearing this, Summer's lips curled up unconsciously as she took a step forward with a smile. The next second, she was firmly stopped by Eleanor standing beside her. Autumn and Crystal saw this, exchanged a look, their hearts accelerating uncontrollably. It wasn't Summer, so could it be one of them? On stage, Reginald looked at me with a broad smile and said gently, "Sincere, now it's time for you to tell us who the person you like is." I smiled, turned my head towards the girl who had always been overlooked, my eyes full of deep affection. "It's Victoria Crawley." Chapter 9. Everyone present froze on the spot. When they recovered, they looked towards Victoria Crawley, only then realizing that the Crawley family's perpetually sickly adopted daughter had, at some point, blossomed into a poised young woman, vastly different from the frail image they remembered. How could it be her? Isn't Sincere Ashworth in love with Summer Crawley? Why would he choose the adopted daughter? Could there be a mistake? Amidst the murmurs of the guests, the faces of Autumn, Summer, and Crystal turned even uglier. Summer looked at me, shocked. "Sincere Ashworth, what's wrong with you? Shouldn't the person you choose be me?" "No, the person I choose is Victoria Crawley." I answered her indifferently, then walked step by step towards Victoria, finally kneeling on one knee before her, presenting the wedding ring I had prepared long ago. "Victoria, will you marry me?" Summer strode forward in disbelief, standing before me, asking furiously, "The person you love is clearly me. Why would you choose this weakling? This sickly girl can't do anything. How could you choose her?" Autumn's and Crystal's eyes were also filled with disbelief. They were reborn. According to the trajectory of the previous life, Sincere Ashworth should indeed have chosen Summer. But why had he now chosen the sickly Victoria Crawley? Where did things go wrong? Seeing the almost delirious Summer, Reginald's face darkened. He immediately spoke to the butler. "Mr. Carson, take the second miss away. Don't let her make a scene here."
"Yes, sir. Mr.
Carson approached with assistance and directly dragged Summer away. As Summer was being led away, still unable to accept the situation, she cried out desperately, "Sincere Ashworth, say something, you misspoke. Just now the person you should choose is me." Reginald waved his hand, and the banquet hall doors were immediately closed, restoring quiet. Reginald smiled warmly at Victoria.
"Victoria, are you willing to marry Sincere?"
Victoria's mind went blank for a moment, then she nodded stiffly. "I am willing." As soon as she answered, I stood up, placed the wedding ring on her finger, took her hand and walked onto the stage. Once we were standing steady, Reginald called over his secretary, handed me a file folder, and said with a smile, "Inside are all the shares of the Crawley family. From now on, I'll leave it all to you two to manage. I wish you both success in the future and a happy life together." Honestly, when he first heard me choose Victoria, he was utterly shocked. He never expected I would ultimately choose Victoria, but she was still a child he had watched grow up, and he knew she was a good person. After I accepted the file folder, Reginald smiled and said, "Today is an auspicious day. I hope everyone enjoys themselves here." Victoria looked at me thoughtfully, then pulled me into a small corner. "Why did you choose me?" Hearing this familiar voice, my heart skipped a beat, my hand by my side clenching unconsciously. In the previous life, when I was framed by Crystal and my reputation was ruined, only Victoria treated me as usual. I had once asked her strangely, Why are you still willing to talk to me?" She looked at me calmly and answered gently, "Brother Sincere, you grew up in the Crawley family. I know you're not that kind of person." Later, when I was tricked by Autumn, kidnapped, and taken to a hospital for human experiments, Victoria had secretly appeared and helped me escape. After leaving the hospital, I wanted to go back and tell Summer about my ordeal during that time. But I never expected that just after escaping the tiger's den, I would fall right into the wolf's lair, imprisoned in the basement by Summer and Ethan. Before I died, Summer appeared. She looked at me mockingly. "Sincere Ashworth, if you hadn't been so unappreciative, I wouldn't have treated you like this. You brought this upon yourself." Before I completely lost consciousness, I vaguely heard Victoria calling her. "Summer Crawley, is Brother Sincere with you right now?" Summer sneered back, "He's my husband, your brother-in-law. Is it appropriate for you to be so concerned? I'm just worried about his safety." After saying this, Victoria paused before continuing, "Summer Crawley, he hasn't done anything wrong. He doesn't deserve to be treated like this by you all." Hearing those words back then, my heart was filled with mixed emotions. Yes, what had I done wrong? Later, I closed my eyes and departed from the world for good. After my death, Victoria found someone to gather evidence of the 3 Crawley sisters' crimes and sent them all to prison. Unfortunately, by then I was just a lonely ghost. I didn't understand why she was willing to go to such lengths for me, but after being reborn, she was the person I wanted to repay the most. Victoria waited for a moment, but still didn't get my answer, her brow knitting tighter. "Brother Sincere, are you listening to me?" I snapped back abruptly, looking into her dark eyes, a smile unconsciously lifting my lips. "Because you are you." Victoria froze on the spot, her almond eyes filled with confusion. "Because you are you?" Could Sincere Ashworth know she had been playing dumb all along, that she wasn't frail and sickly at all? But when did he find out? After the banquet started, Reginald had me and Victoria sit next to him. His intention was clear, to show everyone that Victoria and I were the future successors of the Crawley family. The surrounding relatives and friends saw this and couldn't help but start whispering among themselves. After all, everyone had previously assumed that I should marry Summer. Not long after, a very drunk Summer stumbled up to Reginald, pleading, "Dad, Sincere Ashworth loves me, you can't. Let him get engaged to Victoria Crawley. He should be my husband." Seeing her disgraceful state, Reginald frowned tightly, both angry and anxious. Mr. Carson, quickly have someone take her back to the Crawley house. Don't let her stay here and embarrass herself. After Mr. Carson arrived with help, they tried to drag Summer away, but she refused to leave. Dad, Sincere and I grew up together. He loved me for so many years. How could he just stop loving me like that? How could you arrange such a mismatched pair? I arranged a mismatched pair. Reginald laughed angrily, turning his head towards me. Sincere, do you have anything to say? I smiled slightly and said gently, Mr. Crawley, I have only ever regarded Summer as a sister. Besides, the person she loves is Ethan Green, not me. Summer's almond eyes widened instantly as she retorted hastily. That's not true. Sincere, I don't like Ethan Green. The person I've always loved is you. After saying this, her brows knitted tightly, and her tone took on a hint of displeasure. Sincere, are you still holding a grudge against me because of what happened before? Deliberately saying in public that you like Victoria. Chapter 10. I looked at her indifferently and said calmly, Summer, you can't just say things like that. If Victoria misunderstands me, I'll have a hard time explaining myself when I get back tonight. Victoria, standing beside me, immediately lowered her head, a suspicious blush spreading across her cheeks. Summer's willow-like brows shot up, and she lunged towards me resentfully, trying to embrace me. No, Sincere Ashworth. You can't possibly like Victoria. The person you should marry is me. As she lunged at me, a quick-witted Crawley servant stepped forward and blocked her path. Victoria stood beside me, looking up at Summer. Second sister, there are still so many guests here today. Please stop making a scene and go home first. Summer glared fiercely at Victoria. Who do you think you are, giving me orders? Then am I qualified? Reginald slapped Summer across the face angrily, the sound echoing dully. Stunned by the slap, Summer looked at Reginald, her eyes filled with confusion. The noisy surroundings instantly fell silent. Reginald's scolding continued. You rebellious daughter, from today onwards you stay home and reflect on your actions, having schemed for so long. Summer never imagined she would end up like this. She cried out unwillingly. Dad, hurry up and take her back. As the servants dragged her away, Summer still turned back unwillingly, shouting at me. Sincere, say something. Tell Dad the person you love is me, the one you want to marry is me. I ignored her, only turning to Victoria and asking, How many days are you planning to stay home? She didn't answer my question. That night, by the time the banquet ended, it was very late. On our way back, we were stopped by Autumn and Crystal Crawley. I instinctively shielded Victoria behind me, watching them warily. What do you want from us? Sincere, do you really like Victoria Crawley? Victoria had been frail since childhood, just an adopted daughter of the Crawley family, constantly bullied by the three of them together. Yet unexpectedly, one day she would inherit the entire Crawley family fortune. On what grounds? Besides, the events of the previous life didn't unfold like this at all. Crystal clenched her hands by her sides, her eyes fixed firmly on Victoria, whom I was protecting. Brother Sincere, we treated you poorly before, but there were reasons. We apologize now. We're sorry. Can you forgive us? My brow furrowed tightly, completely baffled by Crystal's sudden apology. The next second, Crystal's gentle voice sounded again. Marriage is a serious matter. You don't need to marry Victoria Crawley just because you're angry with us. Yes, we've all known each other for so many years. You should know that our hearts are only filled with you. Autumn quickly chimed in, a flash of jealous hatred in her almond eyes. My brow furrowed even tighter, my gaze darkening as I replied coldly, I'm not angry with you. I genuinely like Victoria. She will be my only wife in this lifetime. Only wife. These two words struck Autumn and Crystal like a slap across the face, repeatedly reminding them that the person I truly loved was Victoria. After recovering, Autumn looked at me, baffled. Why? Why did you suddenly stop choosing one of us sisters? Didn't you like one of us before? Why give up so easily? In the previous life, the person Sincere Ashworth married was clearly Summer. How could it suddenly change? Could it be because something different happened in this life, and that's why? Standing before her, I heard this and gave a sarcastic smile. Easily. In my previous life, it took my own life to recognize the reality. The price was too high. I can't afford it in this life, nor do I want to. Seeing me silent, Crystal changed her tone from puzzled to indignant, glaring at me. Sincere Ashworth, we've liked you for so many years. How could you do this to us? I gave a sarcastic smile and retorted coldly, Do you really like me? The person you like isn't me at all. You're just unwilling to accept that I would choose Victoria. You like someone else, I like Victoria. From now on, we go our separate ways, having nothing to do with each other. Autumn's brow knitted even tighter. Sincere, we're not unwilling because you chose Victoria Crawley. We genuinely like you. Brother Sincere, don't hold a grudge against us because of what happened before. We've liked you for so many years, how could we possibly stop liking you suddenly? Crystal's eyes reddened, glistening tears welling up in her almond eyes. I had drunk some wine tonight. The wind blew, making my head feel a bit dizzy. I pressed my temples, feeling a headache coming on, not wanting to argue with them anymore. Enough. I've already said the person I like is Victoria. If you don't believe me, there's nothing I can do. After saying this, I directly pulled Victoria towards the car parked nearby. Victoria followed behind me, seeing my resolute manner. Her cheeks flushed slightly, the confusion in her eyes deepening. How did she not know when Sincere Ashworth started liking her? After I got into the passenger seat, Victoria handed me a white pill. What's this? Just as my puzzled question left my lips, she explained gently. It's a hangover remedy. I saw you pressing your temples. You probably drank too much tonight and feel uncomfortable. Take one, and your headache will go away. I smiled, took the pill from her palm, and swallowed it directly. Thank you. You're welcome. As Victoria said this, the tips of her ears turned red again, her heart beating faster unconsciously. Seeing I had taken the pill, she immediately started the car and drove towards the Crawley residence. Leaning back against the passenger seat, I tilted my head to look at her. How come I didn't know you could drive? She lifted the corner of her lip, glancing at me proudly. There are plenty of things you don't know. I paused slightly, then chuckled. True. But we have a long life ahead of us. I'll slowly get to know you. Victoria's grip on the steering wheel tightened unconsciously, her cheeks and ear tips turning even redder. After that night, rumors started spreading outside. They said Summer Crawley argued fiercely with Reginald Crawley for my sake, her heart full of love, yet I turned a blind eye. They said that ever since I chose Victoria, Summer started dating the Crawley family gardener's son, Ethan Green, out of revenge. I let all these rumors go in one ear and out the other, but I never expected that, without my knowledge, the three Crawley sisters had secretly sought out Victoria. Chapter 11. When Victoria Crawley saw the three Crawley sisters standing before her, she wasn't surprised at all. She looked at them indifferently. What do you want from me? Summer Crawley narrowed her eyes slightly, grinding her teeth. Victoria Crawley, Sincere choosing to marry you at the engagement party was just an impulsive act. Please return him to us. You've been frail since childhood. You wouldn't want Sincere to become a widower at such a young age, would you? Autumn Crawley added coldly, her hand by her side tightening unconsciously. Crystal Crawley nodded in agreement. Victoria Crawley, you're just our Crawley family's adopted daughter. What right do you have to marry Sincere, ha? Victoria let out a cold laugh, her aura instantly becoming sharp. Are people like you worthy of him? Brother Sincere is an adult now. He chose to marry me because he's clear-headed enough to know your motives aren't pure. Besides, weren't you all so concerned about Ethan Green before? Why are you suddenly so insistent on Brother Sincere now? After saying this, her gaze towards the figure behind the three sisters slowly deepened. Summer keenly sensed something was wrong. Turning around, she saw Ethan Green standing not far behind them, his face pale. Summer, Autumn, Crystal, I originally came to hang out with you, but I didn't expect to hear all this. Sorry, I'll leave first. After saying this, Ethan immediately turned to leave, but the corner of his mouth lifted unconsciously the moment he turned. Sincere Ashworth marrying Victoria Crawley was a done deal. That meant at least one of the three Crawley sisters would be his. Crystal snapped back to reality and grabbed Ethan's wrist. Ethan, don't go. There's nothing you can't hear in these words. Meanwhile, Summer was still confronting Victoria. We felt sorry for Ethan because he had a difficult life growing up, but that was just pity. Who said we wanted to marry him? As soon as her words fell, Autumn immediately chimed in. Yes, we absolutely must have Sincere, so I advise you to be sensible and leave Sincere soon. Ethan, standing nearby, heard these words, and his face instantly became very ugly. He had tried so hard to make an impression on these three sisters, yet now, in their eyes, he could still be dismissed with a single sentence? What he wanted was never just their pity. He wanted one of the three Crawley sisters. If possible, he wanted them all, so the Crawley fortune would be his too. Ethan's eyes darted, tears falling on command, his gaze towards the three sisters filled with grievance. I always knew you didn't like me. It's just that I couldn't control my heart and genuinely fell for one of you. But don't worry, I will always restrain myself and won't cause you any trouble. He lowered his eyelids, tears streaming down, looking utterly pitiful. Standing nearby, I heard this, my eyes darkening as I said sarcastically, Actually, you two deserve each other. I quickly walked over to Victoria, shielding her behind me. Seeing my action, the three Crawley sisters' faces instantly turned grim. Sincere, I don't believe you truly like Victoria Crawley. As long as you say you don't like her now, we'll pretend this never happened. Summer struggled to maintain the smile on her face, yet couldn't suppress the panic in her heart. Reborn into this life, how could Sincere Ashworth suddenly not choose her? He clearly liked her so much before. How could this happen? The person I like is Victoria. None of you three can compare to her. After saying this, I glanced sideways at Victoria, whom I was protecting. Are you okay? I'm fine. Just as Victoria's gentle voice fell, Summer's confused and disbelieving voice followed. Impossible. How could you possibly like Victoria Crawley? She's just a sickly weakling. How could you? Enough, I glared displeasedly at Summer standing before me. Victoria has been frail and sickly since childhood, but it's not like she chose to be sick. As her older sisters, you show no sympathy and even bully her constantly. Are you even human? It's precisely because I saw through your character that I dare not live with venomous snakes like you. Furthermore, if you dare to trouble us again, I don't mind breaking all ties and calling the police to have you all arrested. After spitting out these chilling words, I turned and escorted Victoria away. After we left, Ethan looked helplessly at the three Crawley sisters. Sincere? He seems like a completely different person? Or was the way he acted in front of you before all just an act? Summer frowned at him, turned, and left without a word. Autumn and Crystal exchanged a look, losing interest in talking further with Ethan. 2 days later, the date for my wedding with Victoria was set for the 10th of next month. The date was chosen by Eleanor after consulting someone, said to be a rare auspicious day. Sometime before our wedding, Victoria came to find me. She looked at me with complex emotions, remaining silent for a long time before finally speaking. Sincere Ashworth. We're not married yet. If you regret it, there's still time. I can go talk to my dad and ask him to cancel our engagement. Why would I regret it? After I asked this question puzzledly, Victoria's gaze towards me became even more complicated. She said, I know the person you love is Summer Crawley. I've seen how recklessly you pursued her. She had seen his humble demeanor when he loved Summer, so she never believed he could let go of Summer so easily. Seeing Victoria like this, memories of her saving me in the previous life uncontrollably surfaced in my mind. I paused, then finally spoke. I did like her before, but I don't anymore. Why? Hearing Victoria ask this, I didn't find it strange. I turned to look at the bright sunlight outside the window and answered gently, I used to be quite foolish, always thinking that if I just persisted, she would eventually see my good qualities. But later I discovered, persistence is useless for some things. Then how do you know we'll definitely have a good outcome if we get married? As Victoria asked this, her hand by her side tightened unconsciously. her palm breaking out in a thin layer of sweat. I turned back, met her almond eyes, and said seriously, "Because you are a very good girl. Although your body is frail, you never gave up on yourself. And in the past, you were the only one who truly cared whether I was comfortable or not." The girl sitting opposite me heard this, unconsciously lowered her head, her cheeks flushing red again. "So you've really decided to marry me?" Chapter 12. I nodded firmly, responding with a smile, "Of course." After saying this, I took out a file folder from behind me and handed it to her. "Keep this file folder safe. What Mr. Crawley gave you is yours, and mine is yours too. This way you should feel more secure being with me. If I ever treat you badly in the future, you can make me leave with nothing, utterly penniless." Victoria stared blankly at the file folder in my hand, seemingly not expecting me to say such a thing. After a moment, she solemnly accepted the file folder I handed her and put it away. "We will get better and better, definitely." I looked at her with a bright smile, feeling for the first time that the future was full of promise. Afterwards, right in front of her, I took off the jade guanyin pendant I always wore around my neck and handed it to her. In my previous life, I gave this ancestral jade guanyin to Summer Crawley, only for her to use it to curry favor with Ethan Green. In this life, Victoria received the jade pendant I handed over, accepting it somewhat hesitantly. "Brother Sincere, thank you." Just as she finished speaking, she received a phone call. After hanging up, Victoria looked at me apologetically. "Brother Sincere, the hospital called. I need to go back for a checkup. I'll go with you." I immediately stood up, wanting to accompany her for the checkup. But Victoria smiled and shook her head, refusing me. "No need. I don't want you to see me in a sorry state." In reality, her going to the hospital for a checkup was a pretense. She needed to go there to continue her medical research at the institute. But now was not the time to tell Sincere Ashworth these things, as she wasn't sure if he was truly reliable yet. I didn't notice anything unusual, just sighed helplessly, understanding inwardly that she also needed time to accept me. After dropping her off at the hospital, I returned to the Crawley residence. Just as I parked the car at the Crawley entrance, I saw Ethan Green standing there. Seeing it was me, Ethan quickly walked over, saying irritably, "Sincere Ashworth, you're too despicable to make Summer like you. You're actually using Victoria Crawley to provoke her, let me tell you. Summer doesn't like you at all, so everything you're doing is pointless besides. Everyone knows the Crawley family's adopted daughter, Victoria Crawley, has been frail and sickly since childhood. Whether she can even live until the wedding is uncertain. I'm afraid you'll be a widower before you even get married." After saying this, he even revealed a sinister smile. My brow furrowed tightly. Just as I was about to rebuke him, a Crawley servant's voice sounded from inside Second Miss. "Mr. Ashworth is back, just outside." The next second, Summer strode out hastily. Seeing it really was me, her eyes reddened unconsciously. Nosy neighbors nearby were already craning their necks, wanting to get more gossip. After all, those in the know were aware that I and the three Crawley sisters had grown up together like childhood sweethearts. Now that things had turned out like this, who knew how it would end? When Summer walked out of the Crawley house, before I could speak, Ethan greeted her with a smile. "Summer." Summer frowned and pushed him away, her gaze coolly fixed on me, her tone unusually gentle. "Sincere Ashworth, I'm willing to marry you now. Let's go talk to my dad right away and make things clear, okay?" Hearing this, I instantly felt something churn in my stomach, filled with nausea. I took a deep breath and looked at her impassively. "Summer Crawley isn't the person you like, Ethan Green?" After saying this, just as I was about to walk past her into the house, she blocked my path. "Sincere, listen to my explanation. What I did with Ethan before was all a misunderstanding. The person I truly like is you. My heart has only ever had room for you." She had thought it through. She had to marry Sincere Ashworth because only by marrying him could she obtain the entire Crawley inheritance. If showing weakness could soften Sincere's heart, then it was worth a try. I gave a sarcastic smile and said irritably, That's not what you told me before. You said marriage is about mutual benefit, and after getting married we wouldn't interfere in each other's lives, each doing our own thing. Only under those conditions would you agree to marry me." Hearing this, Summer's expression changed, and she anxiously tried to explain. I was just joking when I said that. How could I really treat you like that?" My fingers by my side tightened unconsciously, my gaze towards her deepening. Joking. The painful lessons I learned in my previous life were no joke to me. In this life I will never trust you again, no matter what. Ethan, standing beside her, saw this, his eyes reddening as crystal tears instantly fell. "Summer, Shut up." Summer slapped Ethan across the face angrily, as if venting all her resentment onto him. Slap. A crisp slapping sound echoed, and 5 bright red finger marks appeared on Ethan's face. Summer's furious scolding followed immediately. "Get lost, you disgusting creature. If you hadn't put on an act in front of me, how could I have misunderstood Sincere? How could I have hurt him and made him marry someone else?" Even now, Summer didn't realize her own mistakes. She still thought others had misled her. In her world, she always came first. She was just that selfish. "Ethan Green, a person like you with no power, no influence, and no brains. What makes you think you can marry me? Did you think I didn't know about your little schemes?" A couple of days ago, Eleanor had a serious talk with the 3 sisters, and even showed them surveillance footage. Only then did they realize that all the coincidental encounters Ethan mentioned were deliberately arranged. It turned out his supposed injuries were fake. He had been deceiving them from the start. How hateful that even after being reborn they almost fell for his tricks again. Listening to Summer's words, I only felt sarcastic amusement. What goes around comes around. Karma spares no one. Summer continued, still feeling unsatisfied. "A person like you, apart from your face, you have nothing. How can you compare to Sincere? He's the sole heir of the Ashworth family. And you have nothing. You're simply not worth my genuine affection." Hearing this, Ethan's face instantly turned deathly pale. His father was the Crawley family's gardener. He had no power or influence, only his looks. Yet, lacking self-awareness, he constantly tried to compare himself to me. Initially, I'd let him be, but what I got in return was his endless greed. Such a person simply wasn't worthy of sympathy. Ethan looked around frantically, feeling exposed by Summer in public. The way people looked at him changed. That disdain and contempt were a psychological shadow he could never shake off. I'm not the gardener's son, I'm not. "What, now you don't even want to acknowledge your own biological father?" Summer stared at him sarcastically, her dark eyes filled with contempt. "Look at yourself. Manners, brains, knowledge. Which of these can compare to Sincere?" Chapter 13. "Let me tell you, someone like you isn't even fit to carry Sincere's shoes, yet you dream of marrying me." Truly ridiculous. I didn't want to listen to their meaningless argument. I turned to leave, but Summer stepped forward and grabbed my arm. "Sincere, don't go. Look, I've made things clear with Ethan now. We won't have any contact in the future. Can you rest assured now? You've liked me for so many years. You can't possibly stop liking me suddenly. Please give me another chance, okay?" I impassively pulled her hand away and said coldly, "Summer Crawley, I am your brother-in-law. Your behavior like this reflects poorly if outsiders see. Some things, once done, are done. What's wrong is wrong. There's no medicine for regret in this world, no starting over." After saying this coldly, my expression softened slightly. I turned to the neighbors who had been craning their necks nearby, raised my voice, and said with a smile, "Everyone, in a short while, Victoria and I will be getting married. You are all welcome to attend our wedding then." Sincere, Summer wanted to say more, but I quickly walked back into the Crawley house and closed my room door. She stood outside my door, saying many things, repeating the same apologies and regrets I was already tired of hearing. At that moment, I suddenly missed Victoria very much. I wanted to go and be with her. I asked Eleanor for the name of the hospital where Victoria was receiving treatment in the capital city, and immediately bought a plane ticket for that night, heading straight there. After a 5.5-hour flight, I finally arrived in the capital city. By the time I arrived at the hospital via taxi, dusty from the journey, it was already the next morning. Following the information Eleanor provided, I went straight to the hospital ward to see Victoria, only to find she wasn't staying at this hospital at all. Victoria had been frail and sickly since childhood, spending years receiving treatment at the capital city hospital. How could she not be staying here now? The last time I saw her, she clearly said she was going back to continue her treatment. I frowned and called Victoria. The phone rang for a long time before finally being answered. "What's wrong?" Victoria's voice sounded very tired. My brow tightened unconsciously. "Victoria, where are you?" "I came to the address Mrs. Crawley gave me, but the nurse said there's no one named Victoria Crawley hospitalized at Capital City Second Hospital. What's going on?" On the other end of the line, Victoria heard this, her hand holding the phone tightening unconsciously. The treatment at that hospital wasn't very effective, so I transferred to another hospital. Where are you? I'll come find you right away." My tone was urgent as I said this. I was worried about her health, so I wanted to see her as soon as possible. Victoria's brow furrowed even tighter as she answered gently, "City Center Hospital. Then rest well. I'm heading over now. You." Just as Victoria was about to refuse, I had already hung up the phone. When I arrived at City Center Hospital, I still couldn't find her. Just as I stood bewildered in the inpatient department, a familiar voice sounded behind me. Sincere Ashworth shocked. I turned around and saw Victoria standing not far away, wearing a baseball cap, looking relaxed and casual. "Why did you lie to me?" Just as Victoria opened her mouth to make something up, I directly exposed her lie. "Did you know that when you lie, your eyebrows unconsciously arch upwards?" "I didn't know," Victoria answered honestly, lowering her eyelids to hide the unusual look in her eyes. I took a step closer to her and took off her baseball cap. "You're not sick, are you?" Fine beads of sweat dotted her forehead. She clearly looked like she had just rushed over from somewhere else. Victoria paused for a moment, then lifted her gaze to meet my eyes and nodded gently. "Yes, I'm not sick. The reason I didn't tell Mom and Dad is because I have more important things to do. She opened her mouth, wanting to continue, but suddenly remembered the Research Institute's regulations and pursed her lips, falling silent. I nodded gently. "I believe you. I believe Victoria wasn't a bad person because her eyes were clear, devoid of any avarice." My words made her mind momentarily blank, her gaze towards me showing confusion. Why? She had originally calculated that she could arrive at City Center Hospital before Sincere Ashworth, but unexpectedly there was a traffic jam due to a car accident involving another vehicle, so she arrived late. I smiled and reached out to pat her head. "Because your eyebrows didn't arch upwards. Come on, I'll take you to eat." Victoria shifted uncomfortably away from my touch, then led me familiarly towards an alley outside City Center Hospital. As we walked, I gathered my courage and reached out to hold her hand. She flinched uncomfortably but ultimately didn't pull away. Perhaps she liked me a little bit too, I thought. Later that day, we ate small wontons together. Afterwards, she took me to book a hotel room and then left. After staying in the capital city for 2 days, I went back to prepare for the wedding. A week before the wedding, Victoria returned to the Crawley residence. I picked her up from the airport. As I drove, I turned my head to look at her. "Victoria, our wedding is just a week away. Is there anything you want to say to me?" Victoria paused for a moment, then shook her head slightly. When Sincere announced at his birthday banquet that she was the one he wanted to marry, she was shocked. After the shock came overwhelming joy. No one knew that she had liked him since long ago. Her affection was silent and unnoticed, yet she never expected that such silent affection would one day see the light. The corner of my mouth curved slightly, and I smiled as I took her to a restaurant. I had already booked the entire restaurant and carefully decorated it, all for the purpose of proposing to Victoria today. When Victoria saw all this, she was shocked. While she was stunned, I directly took out a ring and knelt on one knee. Victoria, will you marry me? After her astonishment passed, she blushed and extended her right hand. I am willing. As we had dinner together, she asked me puzzledly, Brother Sincere, why did you propose again? Because that time was too sudden. I didn't understand your feelings, I just acted on my own impulse, so it might have been a bit abrupt for you. After saying this gently, I smiled and poured her another glass of juice. The juice is a bit cold. You should drink less. Just as my words fell, Autumn Crawley strode quickly into the restaurant. Sincere Ashworth, you two can't get married. Victoria Crawley is just the Crawley family's adopted daughter. She doesn't know anything. If you marry her, what will happen to our Crawley family fortune? Chapter 14. I will help Victoria manage the Crawley family fortune. She only needs to live according to her own wishes. After stating this calmly, I looked sideways at the waiter standing nearby. Didn't I say I booked the place for the entire evening? Why could the eldest Miss Crawley still enter? Apologies. I will ask the eldest Miss Crawley to leave immediately. After saying this, the waiter quickly approached Autumn and made a gesture for her to leave. Eldest Miss Crawley, the restaurant has been booked for a private event tonight. Please leave. Sincere Ashworth, you... Just as Autumn was about to roar, I lifted my gaze and stared coldly at her, saying in a low voice, Do you need me to send what you just said to Mr. and Mrs. Crawley? You're simply unreasonable. Autumn spat out these words hatefully and turned to leave the restaurant. As soon as she left, Victoria spoke up. It's only been a few days, but your presence seems to have grown stronger. The corner of my mouth lifted slightly as I said gently, If I don't stand strong, how can I protect the frail and sickly you? That's true. Victoria nodded matter-of-factly and picked up the glass of juice before her, taking a light sip. After that evening, the relationship between Victoria and me seemed to grow closer. After dinner, I didn't take her back to the Crawley residence, but instead brought her to the new house I had prepared. Victoria, I don't feel comfortable letting you go back to the Crawley house alone. Stay here for the next few days. Hearing this, she tilted her head and gave me a meaningful smile. I can't just not go back to the Crawley house forever, can I? I remained silent, not answering her. Victoria walked closer to me, gently wrapping her arms around my waist. Brother Sincere, I have the ability to protect myself. Send me back to the Crawley house. Her scent enveloped my senses, my heart beating faster unconsciously, my mind growing somewhat hazy. Okay. By the time I realized what I had said, Victoria had already released her embrace and burst out laughing at me. I helplessly reached out and ruffled her hair, saying worriedly, Then I'll stay at the Crawley house with you. You're a prized commodity. I wouldn't dare let you go back right after escaping the wolf's den. Victoria finished with a faint smile, then added gently, Don't worry about me. I'll be back in a couple of days. Besides, I'm a doctor. Dealing with them is simple, isn't it? I nodded helplessly in agreement. The next day, when I went to the Crawley house to see her, Autumn and the others were unusually absent. Victoria raised her eyebrows at me proudly. Aren't I amazing? What did you do? I walked puzzledly over and sat down in front of her, asking confusedly. Victoria, while eating grapes, said calmly, Nothing much. Just exposed some dirt about Autumn Crawley's company. Casually released information online about Summer Crawley hiring ghost painters, and then casually leaked the affair between Crystal Crawley and Ethan Green. Impressive. I admired her for accomplishing so much in just one night, while also becoming more certain that the identity she was hiding from me was definitely not simple. The next second, Victoria leaned closer, her face magnifying before mine. Sincere Ashworth, are you extremely curious about my identity right now? If I say yes, are you willing to tell me the truth? I looked straight at her, my hand by my side tightening unconsciously, my palm breaking out in a thin layer of sweat. Victoria chuckled softly, leaned close to my ear, and whispered sweetly, I'm a core member of the National Key Research Institute. Dealing with them is just a flick of my finger, so you don't need to be afraid. I reached out and directly grasped her hand, looking at her seriously. I was never afraid of them. I was worried about you. Victoria raised an eyebrow at me, picked up a file from the side and handed it to me. Open it and see. Curiously, I opened the file folder and saw the physical examination report inside. The subject was Victoria Crawley, and the final report indicated that Victoria Crawley was in excellent health, with no diseases. She raised an eyebrow at me with a light smile. The doctors at Capital City Center Hospital are highly skilled. They managed to restore my health even with such a poor constitution. We should send them a commendation banner. Just as I was about to speak, Eleanor's happy voice came from the kitchen. Yes, we should, in my opinion. We should send 2 banners to properly express our gratitude. Hearing this, Victoria and I exchanged a look and smiled in unison. Not long after, it was the day of my wedding with Victoria. Before dawn, Victoria was woken up to change into her gown and have her makeup done. Wearing the suit she personally designed for me, I carried her into the wedding car. Her face was very red, very cute. Her eyes were large, her eyelashes long, fluttering like little fans. They all said Victoria Crawley was frail and sickly, destined to die young. But I felt she could live a long life with me, reaching old age together. Life ahead is long. I will definitely take good care of her. Thinking this, my heart beat faster unconsciously, the curve of my smile widening. Getting married for the second time, the same wedding process. Yet my mood was completely different. In my previous life, when marrying Summer Crawley, I constantly worried she would regret it and run away. But now, I only felt peace of mind. The next second, the wedding car suddenly stopped. I saw Summer Crawley standing in the middle of the road, wearing a pure white wedding dress, her eyes fixed intently on me. No one could have imagined that on my wedding day, Summer Crawley would actually come to cause trouble. I thought she had gone mad when I got out of the car. Victoria got out with me, standing by my side. Victoria, I don't know why she's here, but believe me, I won't let her ruin our wedding. Victoria smiled, took my hand and said gently, "We are husband and wife. We face any difficulties together." Her palm was warm and soft, calming my originally tense heart. Summer, standing not far away, saw us being so intimate, her eyes turning bloodshot, filled with madness. "Sincere, didn't you say you wanted to marry me? I came today specially wearing a wedding dress. Let's go find my dad together and have him let you marry me, okay?" "Okay? What okay?" I just found her utterly absurd. Did she think marriage was a game? Or perhaps, in her eyes, the Crawley family fortune was just a transaction. When I liked her before, she treated me like dirt, humiliating me in countless ways. What use was regret now? I held Victoria's hand tightly and said coldly, "Summer Crawley, I've already made it very clear to you. The person I like is Victoria Crawley. If you're here to attend our wedding, both my wife and I welcome you. But if you're here to ruin our wedding, then don't blame me for being impolite." Hearing this, Summer's eyes reddened, and she asked chokingly, "Sincere, why are you so cold to me? Didn't you say you would always like me?" After saying this, she walked towards me step by step. When she got closer, her expression suddenly changed and she lunged viciously towards Victoria. Chapter 15. The glint of light on Summer Crawley's hand made me realize she was holding a knife. Without a second thought, I shielded Victoria Crawley. I grabbed the stabbing knife. The blade was sharp, cutting deeply into my palm. Bright red blood instantly flowed out, splattering onto the ground like dots of plum blossoms. Victoria, after a moment of stunned silence, looked at me frantically. "Sincere, how are you? You shouldn't have blocked the knife for me." I forced a smile and comforted her gently. "I'm fine. I'm your husband. Protecting you is my duty." Seeing this scene, Summer's pupils contracted sharply, a bitter smile on her face. "Sincere, you used to only protect me, but now you protect others too." I looked at her impassively and said in a low voice, "Victoria Crawley is my wife now. I will only protect her for the rest of my life." Soon, Summer was apprehended by 2 security guards. She looked at me wildly, her eyes bloodshot. "Let go of me. You let go of me. I want to marry Sincere." I should be Sincere's wife. I should be the heir to the Crawley family. Seeing her state, the two security guards exchanged a look, momentarily flustered. Just then, Ethan Green appeared from nowhere and threw his arms around Summer's shoulders. "Summer, don't be afraid, will you marry me? I promise I'll be good to you as long as you're willing to marry me. I will definitely stay with you properly. I promise I'll be good to you." Summer's pupils contracted sharply. She immediately looked up at me. "Sincere, I have nothing to do with him. I never said I would marry him, believe me." After saying this, she forcefully kicked Ethan's knee. Get lost, you Sincere. I know I was wrong. I treated you badly before. I'll change from now on. I'll only be good to you, okay? As long as you give me a chance, I will definitely treat you well for the rest of my life. I'll never let you live as miserably and pitifully as in the last life. As miserably and pitifully as in the last life? The color in my eyes deepened. I no longer wanted to say anything more to her. The events of the past life were over. In this life, I just wanted to live well with Victoria. Victoria frowned at Summer and snapped at the two security guards holding her. "Aren't you taking her back yet?" "Yes, ma'am," the guards responded in unison. Summer and Ethan were then taken away. After returning to the wedding car with Victoria, someone soon brought a first aid kit. My wound wasn't very deep. Victoria skillfully disinfected and bandaged it, not letting this small incident affect our wedding. Later that day, I heard that Summer was sent back to the Crawley residence, slapped several times by Mr. Crawley, and finally locked in her room under watch, forbidden to be let out. That night, during our wedding night, Victoria's face turned as red as an apple. She stood timidly, hesitant to approach me. I chuckled softly, sitting on the bed and patting the covers. "Victoria, we're already married. Isn't it a bit late to be shy now?" Victoria nodded shyly. After much hesitation, she finally walked over and sat beside me. "It is a bit late, but also not too late. Meeting you, no time is too late." Victoria's eyes sparkled as she looked at me. I instantly understood the meaning behind her words. I smiled and put my arm around her shoulder, saying gently, "You must be tired after such a long day. Thank you for everything." Victoria tilted her head to look at me and said softly, "I still can't believe we actually got married. What's there not to believe?" I fondly reached out and tapped her nose, then lay down beside her. Victoria turned over to face me and asked puzzledly, "Brother Sincere, can you tell me when you started liking me?" "A long time ago. Maybe it started when you gave me an apple, or maybe when you found me in the garden," I answered with a smile, my gaze towards her growing increasingly tender. Those past events were buried deep in my memory, perhaps buried for so long that I had almost forgotten them. Before the wedding, I dreamt of my past life. I dreamt about my past with Victoria. Only then did I realize that I had liked Victoria since the previous life, but back then, I mistook Victoria for Summer. Victoria raised an eyebrow and smiled. "Brother Sincere, actually, I've liked you for a long time too." "What?" I looked at her, surprised, and pressed further, puzzled. "You? When did you start liking me?" "Before you even came to the Crawley family." Victoria paused here before continuing. "When I was little, my parents once took me to the Ashworth house to play. At that time, I was almost abducted by human traffickers. You protected me, and you even said you would protect me forever. Later, when you came to the Crawley house, I recognized you at first sight. I thought then, that little brother can protect me again. It's just a pity, you seem to have forgotten me. After coming to the Crawley house, we only met a few times, and you were always distant and cold towards me. Later, when I saw the things you did for Summer, I felt quite sorry for you. You are such a good person, yet Summer didn't cherish you and instead cared for that manipulative green tea man." Hearing her indignant voice, I smiled and reached out to ruffle her hair. "I'm sorry. It was my fault for forgetting you back then, causing you to suffer so much alone." Victoria's eyes shone brightly as she looked at me, making my heart beat faster and faster. Victoria, as I murmured her name, I clearly saw her face flush crimson again. She slowly closed her eyes, her eyelashes trembling lightly. The lights flickered. This night was destined to be sleepless. 5 months after our wedding, my wife, Victoria Crawley, became pregnant. Mr. Carson came to our new home to find me, saying that Mr. Crawley had officially decided to retire from the Crawley Group and hand over the entire corporation to me. Mr. Crawley also told me earnestly, Autumn, Summer, and Crystal, those 3 sisters, they aren't bad at heart. I don't ask you to take excessive care of them, just ensure they live comfortably for the rest of their lives. Later, when my wife was 7 months pregnant, Crystal deliberately attended the same banquet as me and drugged me again. She attempted to ruin my reputation as revenge, but this time I was prepared and didn't fall for it. I confronted her directly. Crystal Crawley, if you behave yourself, you'll live comfortably for the rest of your life. But if you try anything against me again, I can't guarantee you won't be disgraced by tomorrow. You... Crystal glared at me angrily, her eyes filled with unwillingness. If it weren't for you, Ethan wouldn't have lost his mind and been sent to the mental hospital by Mr. Green. This is all your fault. Only then did I learn that Ethan Green had actually been committed to a mental hospital. I stared at her impassively. Crystal Crawley, this is my final warning. The next time, you'll end up in prison. After that day, when I visited the Crawley house, I overheard Mr. Carson mention that Ethan had escaped from the mental hospital, but no one knew where he had gone. I didn't pay much attention to his fate, because I knew that good deeds eventually bring rewards, and retribution is just a matter of time. Later, Autumn Crawley demanded the family assets be divided. Her reason was that she didn't want to see me, and since the division would happen eventually, it was better sooner than later. Following Mr. Crawley's instructions, I divided the property and stated clearly that I would regularly provide funds to the 3 Crawley sisters to ensure they lived without worry. After the Crawley family assets were divided, Autumn's career flourished, but one day, she was reported and subsequently imprisoned for conducting illegal scientific experiments, sentenced to life. Summer Crawley's life took a different turn. She lived a life of luxury, investing in paintings everywhere during the day and indulging in various clubs at night. Her painting skills were originally decent, but with her daily negligence, she eventually lost all her abilities. Later, my wife, Victoria Crawley, gave birth to a lovely baby girl for me. One day, when Summer came looking for my wife to ask for money, I ran into her. She looked at me haggardly. Sincere, did you know in the last life I really did marry you? We lived very happily, with a son and a daughter, enjoying family bliss. I retorted sarcastically. And then, how did I die? Summer's pupils contracted sharply, a momentary panic flashing in her eyes, but she steadied herself and said with a smile, "We grew old together, dying at the age of 78. I scoffed, bluntly exposing her lie. Summer Crawley, if you tell lies often enough, you even deceive yourself. In the last life, wasn't I locked in the basement by you and starved to death?" Summer's body trembled, and she took 2 steps back in fear. How could you know? After recovering, she laughed maniacally at me. I understand now, you were reborn too. No wonder you chose Victoria Crawley this time. I didn't answer her again, simply turned around and went home. Later that day, Summer Crawley went mad and was hit by a car on the road, dying instantly. When I heard this news, I felt nothing, because everything between her and me was already in the past. Now I have a wife and child. My future life will only get better and better,